Welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. I'm feeling really tired this morning and it's due to the fact I couldn't sleep. Thank you, Thunder, for keeping me up all night. Moving onwards. I don't think I like riding on buses. Actually, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that as a fact. They sway a lot and they smell funny and you can feel every bump in the road. I'm really looking forward to this. Plus, Emmy's legs keep making a clanking noise that draws the attention of everyone else on the bus. She's in shorts again, and she's got long socks drawn up on her prosthetics so that it looks so obviously false again. But that doesn't stop the odd look or two every time her legs bump together with an audible clink. I shift nervously in my seat and Emmy raises an eyebrow questioningly. She doesn't seem to mind the stares. Either that or she doesn't even notice that people are staring. One doesn't care because we've got the comfort of each other. I'm sure she's gotten her fill of odd looks before. After a certain amount of time, I doubt she'd notice anymore. Not that she'd ever tell me if I asked. Another fact is, I'm just not uncomfortable about the bus. I can't seem to come to terms with the fact that Emmy appears to be trying to bring me closer, while at the same time pushing me away. The nurse said she trusts me, even though it doesn't look like it. But I'm not sure I can trust the nurse. Come on, man, at least trust the nurse. He's protective of Emmy, just like I'm protective of Emmy, in different ways. And I'd be likely to say something to make her look good if someone asked me about her. So he might just be doing that. Still, there was something about the way he seemed genuinely surprised that Emmy invited me along. Maybe last night's talk helps me more than I think, but I'm still worried. Meeting the parents is a big deal. Parent! No plural! Right. Not that I haven't already met Emmy's mother, but that was just as an acquaintance. Now it's going to be as Emmy's boyfriend, with everything that implies. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, an echo of that snow-covered afternoon that feels like it was so long ago that it might as well be another life entirely. Another me in another timeline. Except then, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have medication to help prevent things spiraling out of control. I've come a long way in terms of my physical health, and for the second time today, I feel like I'll be able to live life normally. Live normally, or at least as normally as possible. It both makes sense, even though I didn't really say it according to how it's spelled out. Now, if only I could manage my relationship as well as I've managed my heart, I'd be in great shape. Oh, here we are. Well, we're here. Emmy grabs my hand as soon as we've stopped off the bus. She starts heading down the street almost immediately. Come on, we've got a couple blocks until my place. What? Oh, okay. I follow Emmy down the street, watching her confident stride. She's setting kind of a quick pace for just a walk. I guess she's anxious to get there. So does your mom do this sort of thing often? Nah, not too frequently. Mom has never been much for playing hostess. Oh yeah? Yeah, my dad was always the one pushing her to have people over. This sudden and unprompted reference to her father catches me off guard, and from the look of Emmy's face, I'm not sure she meant to mention him. I think I've only ever heard her talk about him once. All I remember is that Emmy's mum told me that he wasn't around anymore. Oh, your mum prefers solitude? You trying to divert the situation? Emmy laughs, either from belief that I didn't ask about her father or from finding my statement actually funny. Not at all. She's why I'm such an outgoing person, you know. She just prefers to be a guest rather than a hostess. It's less stressful that way, or so she says. Clearly she's never had to meet her girlfriend's mother for dinner. Do you mean a boyfriend? Her boyfriend's mother? Anyways, Emmy giggles again and speaks in a teasing tone. Nervous, Hisao? You shouldn't be, you know. It's not that big of a deal. Just dinner at my house, that's all. Yeah, but have you ever brought home a boyfriend before? I confess that part of me dreads hearing the answer to this. I know very little of Emmy's past relationships. I don't even know if there were exactly. Don't go assuming that she's had past relationships. No, I guess I haven't. Hey, maybe this really is kind of a big deal after all. Oh good, now I feel twice as nervous. But to tell the truth, I'm pretty happy to hear that I'm the first one. Maybe we've got something special after all. Despite only being 2 weeks in, we've already had experiments going on and stuff like that. Bolstered by this new thought, I've managed to calm down considerably by the time Emmy knocks on her front door. Hey Mom, open up, we're here. Hello. The door swings open and Mrs. Aparasaki stands grinning at her daughter. The grin is still surprisingly similar to Emmy's. I'm never going to get used to that. You know, people normally wait for a few minutes before they start shouting at the door. And most mothers say hello to their daughters instead of scolding them right away. I don't think she's scolding. Oh, of course. Welcome home, dear. I've missed you. An affectionate hug later, we're inside, and it is only then that Emmy's mum seems to remember that I'm actually here. And hello to you too, Hisao. How are you? I'm quite well, thank you. Nice to not have school to worry about for a little bit. Ah, yes, you finished up your exams, haven't you? This must be quite a relief for you both. It's certainly a weight off my mind, that's for sure. And mine too. I think I slept well for the first time in weeks last night from relief alone. If this news is a surprise to Emmy's mum, she doesn't show it. Still, her response betrays a note of interest. Is that so? I'm very glad to hear it. That. It's all about reading between the lines. It's not reading the line, it's reading between the lines. The emotions in the lines, but also the message that is trying to be conveyed outside of the lines. You know, I get worried when you get all wound up about, well, exams. Certainly, Emmy's mother knows something I don't, or rather, she doesn't know that Emmy's told me about the nightmares. It's interesting, being able to observe Mrs. Aparasaki covers for Emmy. That protective instinct to make sure that I don't know any more than Emma's willing to tell me. I suppose Emmy's got more in common with quirks than I ever realised. Moves around fast, impossible to understand through direct observation, yet she has an effect on everyone she encounters. She is contagious. I wonder if Mrs. Aparasaki will figure out that I know about the nightmares. Or is she just keeping everything secret from everybody? Yeah, it's not been as bad this year as in the past. Hisao helped me to stay focused. Okay, I know that's not true. Kept you focused on like other things. You're not going to say that to your mother, are you, Emmy? She even cut off contact outside of school hours during the exam week. But she did see me during the day, and she told me more than once that the morning run was the only thing she looked forward to during exams, so maybe it's not that much of a lie. Exactly, you have been helping her. It's just that you don't see at the angle in which you've been helping her. Now, that's the science thing as well. Being able to observe something. Observe everything around you and make an answer out of it. If you can't make an answer out of it, then look at it at a different angle. And if you looked at all possible angles and still can't find an answer, then you've learnt something through the process. Emmy's mother raised an eyebrow at this statement. Either she doesn't believe Emmy, or she's as surprised as I am. Well, then it appears that is a good thing you two have become so close. I'd tell you to take good care of my daughter, Hisao, but it looks like you're already doing that. Emmy grins and then seems to take pride in my having managed to graduate myself. Ingravitate myself versus mother so easily. Actually, I'd say your daughter's been the one taking care of me. She's got me out and running. I've probably been more active since meeting her than I ever was, even before. Yes, some activity came from more than just running, am I right? I never actually thought of it that much, nor have I ever appreciated the humour in it. I wasn't too active before the heart attack. Pick-up games of soccer don't really count since they weren't that common. So now that I know for sure that I have a weak heart, now I run every day, pushing my luck with the help of my medication. I chuckle quietly, then realize I've never finished my sentence. Well, before I had my heart attack and wound up at school here, it comes out so casually. There's a time I would have thought twice about talking about what was wrong with me at all, but now it just seems it now just seems silly to care, especially in the company of Emmy and her mother. If Emmy can be chevalier about a disability, then so can I. Yeah, I think that's as well with the situation is that Hisao's been rather one-sided when it comes to looking at a person's disability and saying like, what can one do to help? What can one do to alleviate the pain? But you haven't really talked about your disability, Hisao, of why you're at the school. It's two different sides. Like, in any relationship, it's always about getting both points of view across and coming to a mutual agreement. I think that's how couples work anyways. Mutual agreements, understanding, making love. The fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Being stuck in the wheelchair frustrates her, I know, but even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my efforts to the contrary. Because she's a strong, independent woman who don't need no partner to tell her about her worries and stuff like that. Emmy is a way of bringing out the more active side in people. I never quite figured how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets for starters. I'm surprised she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out and running with you too. Oh, that reminds me, Rin says hello. I drift out to the outer edges of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious, and the spread that Emmy's mum has produced is impressive. Well, you made enough to feed an army in here. Is it too much? It's better than not enough. I love it. If any time we go around houses, this is before the pandemic that is, and go to a relative's house, cousin's house, stuff like that, and they always produce too much. That is more what you would call, what's the right word for it? But it's more, not more appropriate, it's more polite, because then people can then have extras if they want to. Well, you can always take some leftovers with you when you go. That sounds great. I can only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something home cooked will be a welcome change of pace. What he said. Thanks, Mum. Very good. What? Oh, right. It's usually what she says, but this case is what he said. The food tastes as good as it smells, and there's a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plates with the usual amount of gusto, and I'll admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So, Hisao, I hear that you and my daughter here have gotten rather close. How did you know? The urge to say something like not really is so strong that I open my mouth to say it, but then reassert control. We are close, there's no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reactions as a sign that I'm caught off guard rather than considering saying something cruel. Indeed. I suppose we have. I blame the morning runs myself. You make it sound like a bad thing, Hisao. Well, I, for one, find it a relief. Why's that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but never made many close friends. This is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways. Just because you chat with people doesn't really mean that you're that close to them, but they're like casual people that you just say hello to. And certainly the whole track team seems to love her, but it is true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. It's all about the people that you want to spend your free time with. And in class, it's not exactly free time, so you make do with what you have. Not exactly the sort of behaviour one expects from a popular girl, after all. Then again, I've experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say that I'm surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Emmy rolls her eyes to the scene and grumbles something I can't quite make out. Huh? What? What's that you just said? Nothing. Mrs. Abarasaki chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nose too long, Emmy. I'm going to have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow I don't think that would be very effective. I've learnt most of it from you anyway, not on Earth. What? No. No. Don't listen to her, Hisao. She's a born liar. Of course she's a born... Oh, I don't get enough of that evil smirk that Emmy makes. Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know, Emmy. I think your mother has a point. What? You traitor! You're supposed to take my side in this. Yeah, but ow! But you did lie about your leg after the... Ow! A kicking the shins from an unmistakably plastic foot cuts me off, but not before Mr. Abaraski's eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg? It wasn't a big deal, that's all. I was just, in a words of it. The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Emmy's mum. Yeah, it's not that hard to decipher. I suspect she has experience with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why he kept dodging my calls. Oh, Emmy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. Well, of course, she spent enough time in a chair just after the accident. She didn't get prosthetics immediately? Well, obviously the legs needed time to recover. No, she had to... Exactly, that's what I was thinking. She had to finish healing up before they let her start the sort of therapy you've got to go through to adjust to these things. But the nurse says it takes years to get out of that kind of thing. But Emmy was some kind of alien that regenerated much faster. Especially since she wants to run on them. I had no idea. Yeah, this sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival? Emmy's sudden change of topic makes me realise belatedly that she's been fidgety the whole time her mother and I have been talking. There's nothing wrong with, your girlfriend's mother and yourself talking to one another. I should have figured on her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about the accident, even around her mother. I wonder if Emmy's mother also had the same kind of, sexual antics when she was younger. No, I didn't make it out of the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me. I think that's more or less what she's going for. She talks a lot about it being dreamlike, or trying to make it dreamlike. It's all about your own interpretation and perspective at the end of the day. Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise. But all at the same time, she doesn't think it actually works that way. I'm surprised that Emmy's talked about this with Rin extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion, such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not, if she were so inclined, say the same thing about Emmy's. Unless, of course, Emmy is purposely keeping me in the dark about everything, which is likely but unpleasant to think about. I drift down this unpleasant train of thought for a while, losing track of the conversation. Hey Emmy, I've been meaning to ask this. Huh? Are you going to visit your father this year? From the way she says it, you'd think Emmy's mother was talking about the weather. From the way Emmy reacts, it's clearly not the weather they're talking about. She flinches, a slight jerk of the head backwards as if she's just been slapped in the face. Can we talk about this later? Her voice sounds brittle, strained. It looks as if she's been severely shaken by the question. It seems that Mrs. Aparasaki misjudged just how close Emmy and I are. Some things, it seems, are best not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of those things. The accident that took her legs is probably another one of those things. If her reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is any indication. The thing that you're not thinking of is the how on why Emmy's father is no longer with those two. It's because the father saved Emmy, but not entirely because she lost her lower legs. It doesn't take Emmy's mother long to realise she's screwed up. Of course we can, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just want to ask so I could make plans. It's fine, don't worry about it. Emmy fidgets nervously as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today. Less than a few hours ago, even. Why does a simple question about when she'll visit her father cause such a strong reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk the previous evening has suddenly evaporated. Or it didn't help as much as she thought. Or claimed. I'll be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room. This is convenient timing. So then, it's just Miko and my Hisao, sorry. I'm used to saying Misao because, or Misao because of a RPG Maker horror game. Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mrs. Aparasaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her or should I stay here? It's obvious that Emily's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her, and I have to know what it is. How to go about it. Dearie me, this is all sort of different scenarios and stuff like that. Oh, who knows where this all could lead up. Let's have a conversation with her mother, why not? There's an awkward silence at the table for a while after Emmy dashes off. I can't think of anything to say. Emmy's mother sighs, breaking the silence. Sorry about that, Hisao. I sometimes forget that Emmy's touchy about certain subjects. And I was talking about the wheelchair thing too. Should I go after her? Heavens, no. She didn't leave the table to continue the conversation, you know. But if she's troubled, shouldn't someone help her? If it were anyone else, I'd say yes, but my daughter is stubborn as a mule. And if she wants to be alone, it's best to let her be alone. Otherwise, she'll probably say something she'd regret, which would cause you to say something you'd regret. And I would prefer that dinner doesn't end with one or both of you storming out of the house. If that were to happen, I'd be a terrible hostess, wouldn't I? I've already acted as a fool once today. That's okay. I shouldn't have brought up the wheelchair, apparently. Mrs. Aparasaki frowns, clearly more bothered by Emmy's omission than she let on. I wish she wouldn't do that. It just makes me worry more, you know. She does this often? What, running off to the bathroom? No, not talk about that kind of thing. No, I can't say she does. Keep injuries from her mother, though. Well, that's a little more common. Yeah, who needs to report the fact that you just need to go to the bathroom, for goodness sakes? Like, that's just something that we do every day. But injuries, that's not something we have every day. Every time I catch a line like that, she assures me that the only reason she didn't tell me is because it wasn't a big deal. I see there's a common theme appearing here. So every time something happens, she's like, it's not a big deal, Mum. I'm a big girl with big pants. I can look after myself. If there's any consolation, I'm sure the only reason I knew about it all was because I saw her every day. This elates a dry chuckle from across the table. Miss Aparasaki sighs a little sadly. Still hesitant about getting close to people, huh? I keep hoping that she'll get over that. It's funny, really. She's bounced back so well from the accident in so many ways. I guess some things never really go away exactly. Like, I still miss my grandfather every day. And it's been 15 months since I've lost him. My family's lost him. Like, I could be 90 and I'd still remember my grandfather, for goodness sakes. From the looks of it, the whole thing still bothers her too. She seems to be a little more willing to talk about the accident without Emmy around though. Hey, I've got a question if it's alright. Oh? Ooh. This is gonna get dark. What else did Emmy lose in that accident? The nurse said that she gets this way near the anniversary, and she won't talk about it to me. So you thought I'd fill you in? Yeah, hopefully. Well, there's a problem with that request, you know. Let me guess. You promised Emmy that you wouldn't tell anyone she didn't want to know, and you don't know if she wants me to know. Something like that. I promised Emmy that she'd be the one to tell people the full story. But isn't that important? I mean, it's clearly had a huge effect on her if she's still like this so long after the accident happened. That's true. It did have a long-lasting effect on her. There are a few things that she'll probably never really get over. For a moment, Mrs. Abaraski looks incredibly saddened, as if an old wound is bothering her. I suppose there are a few things I'll never really get over either. Another dry chuckle, and with a shake of her head, Emmy's mother banishes the memory. Look, there's something you absolutely must understand about the way Emmy thinks about the accident. She thinks it's her fault that the accident happened. It wasn't a big deal. Somehow I managed to keep my mouth from falling open in surprise, but it takes some effort. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I beg your pardon? Okay, maybe it's not that simple, but it's a pretty accurate summation. Emmy believes that the accident did not define her, and that everything she lost that day didn't define her either. She's not that girl who lost her legs. She's the fastest thing on no legs. Her optimism and energy came out of that wreck without a scratch, as far as she's concerned. Yeah, it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, last night she told me that she refused to relay on me because it would make losing me too painful. Not really. You said she won't tell you about the accident, even though you've asked her about it before. The reason she won't talk about it when you ask is because to her it's not something you absolutely need to know. Even if she wasn't terrified of getting too close to anyone, she still wouldn't talk about it. She's afraid of being close to me? Oh goodness me, yes. Of all that talk about being unscathed by the accident, she's gained the ugly knowledge of how quickly it can all be over. So she's not going to let people get especially close to her, and she certainly won't resent any implication that she cannot work through this on her own. But I don't think she can. Oh no. Are you sure you've been dating my daughter and not somebody else? Trust me, Hisao, she can get through it on her own. But she has nightmares and can't sleep well, and she does this every year. Tell me, if she wasn't able to get through it on her own, do you really think she'd still be alive? Yeah, that is a point. She would have committed Sudoku many years ago. She would have killed herself, or something equally melodramatic. So what, I shouldn't try to help her? I didn't say that, exactly. I hate to see my daughter like this, and knowing that she could rely on someone else would let me relax. You just need to understand that accepting help goes against everything Emmy thinks about herself and the way the world works. If you still want to offer her help, then I guess it's your call. Honestly, I'd like you to, but it'd be silly not to warn you that it's not going to be easy exactly. You just need to be patient with her. She's already closer to you than anyone else she's ever met at Yamaku. Well, it sure doesn't feel like we're very close. Good. That makes this part easier. Excuse me, Emmy? Emmy's voice nearly gives me a heart attack. What? Didn't hear you come back, Emmy. How convenient. Wait, were you eavesdropping? Nope, just happened to come back at the right moment, I guess. Emmy, Hisao was just... Emmy holds up a finger, cutting her mother off. On his way out of the house? Yeah, I know. Emmy's trembling with anger now, looking vaguely betrayed. Emmy, don't be ridiculous, we were just... You promised! The pain carried of that last word is almost too much for me to bear. The idea that I could hurt her that much is like being kicked in the gut. Emmy's mother looks similarly pained by the thought. And I kept that promise. Just listen, there's no reason to go throwing people out of the house. Emmy's mother seems to be both angry at her daughter's outburst and embarrassed that I am a witness to it. There's only one real solution to this problem, I think. It's okay. I'll go. No, really, that seems a little unnecessary. Don't worry about it. Thank you for dinner, Mrs. Abaraski, and for the advice. It was my pleasure, Hisao. I'm sorry we didn't get to the dessert. That's okay. I have to watch what I eat anyway. Good evening, Emmy, Mrs. Abaraski. The formality of our conversation, coupled with the fact that I'm getting ready to leave, seems to snap Emmy out of her anger. No, wait, I'm sorry, I've been so... And after last night, I just thought... You didn't have to go. I take it back, it's okay. I can't help but smile slightly. She can barely articulate her apology, and I really would like to stay. But I don't think I can right now. I need to think about what her mother said. and about what I'm going to do about us. I don't want to risk accidentally getting Emmy angry again in her current state either. No, I think I'd better leave. You seem pretty shook up, and well, I don't need to wind up trying to help you again. I know you prefer I didn't, so I'm going to leave instead. But, hey, it's not a problem. You don't want a knight on a white charger, right? Just promise me one thing, okay? What? Don't be angry at your mum, okay? She was just giving me some advice, that's all. Emmy nods hesitantly, like the simple idea is all that she could grab onto at this point. She's so terribly off balance, but I can't do anything about that right now. Okay. See you tomorrow, okay? Running in the morning? Don't forget. I can see that I've hurt Emmy by deciding to leave, but there's nothing I can do for her instead. And I know that she's too stubborn to admit that she wants me to stick around. Maybe the reversal sometimes works. Rather than trying to force your help upon the other person, retract in a polite way. Not in a bad way, but retract in a polite way so that in a way they feel a little bit guilty. I watched various emotions cross Emmy's face as she tries to process everything that's just happened. Shortly comes that calm look again like last night, and that voice that tries so hard to sound careless. Sure, Hisao. See you around. Both of us are unwilling to concede emotion at this point, and I'm having a hard time keeping up my facade, so I turn on my heel and walk out of the door. I shut it behind me slowly, pausing for a moment as the latch catches my hand on the doorknob. Did I make the right decision just now? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? No, you did the right thing, man. You know what Emmy's like. No, I decide. Not in front of her mother like that. In spite of everything, I'd rather keep Emmy's mother insulated from the sort of anger that surfaced last night. Even though she's probably used to it, some protective instinct wants me to keep Emmy's image as a cheerful girl intact. With a start, I realise my hand is still resting on the knob. I take my hand away, put it in my pocket, and head down the slowly darkening street. And here we are back at the dorm. I let out a long breath. Wait until tomorrow morning comes isn't going to be easy. In any case, I have to think on what to say to Emmy. I must apologise and I must get through to her somehow. You don't have to apologise to her whatsoever. It's partially her fault for being so stubborn. Well, it is her fault for being so stubborn. But it's not her fault on the way that she's stubborn. Like, the cause of it, probably. On that account, something has been on my mind for most of the way back to my room. The letter of apology from Awanako. I was so concerned about my new life when I received it, but I didn't even bother to really read it. Now that I find myself in a similar position, my curiosity got rekindled. What does she want to let me know so badly? If nothing else, reading her thoughts might help me frame mine. I remember tossing it away. Damn, where'd I throw that thing? I check it on my desk, then it tells me nothing, so look for harder to reach, more unlikely locations. Well, now that I know where that lost sock went, at least. Still no letter, though. It's when I try sweeping my arm under my nightstand that I feel something crinkly jammed between it and the wall. Grinding a little with the effort, I reach for my prize and soon manage to bring it into the light. Bingo! I sit at my desk and spread the crumpled paper open. A flicker turns on the table light. Skipping past the empty pleasantries, I look for the point where I stop reading. Ah, here it is. I'm hoping that Emmy does not come back in when we're reading this letter. Okay, we've already read that. No excuse. Truth is, times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I am not talking about your health. You seem to become more distant and disheartened. Yeah, right wording there. Giving up on happiness. That sounds unpleasantly familiar. Wanted to somehow express my feelings, but my words didn't come to me. Blah blah blah. Can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I could tell you not to give up on yourself. Get back on your feet. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you're doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. After finishing the letter, I smooth it out carefully and set it aside on my desk. Thank you, Iwanako. I want to answer yes to your question on that snowy winter day, but I never got to. By the time we met again, it was too late. Also, I thought, what would have happened if I behaved differently back in that dismally sterile hospital room? I'm sorry, there's no point wondering now, but there's no point trying to forget either. I am who I am because of all that happened to me and all I look forward to experience, present, future, and past. And the past may just have taught me an important lesson now. Now here. Wherever here is. Okay. Act 4 motion. Okay, so if we were to have a bad ending, it would have happened by now, wouldn't it? Because the bad ending to Rin's route happened before Act 4 happened. The sound of my alarm is an unwelcome intrusion on the sleep that's been a battle to obtain. Yep, you tell me, right. I doubt I've been truly asleep for more than an hour or two. Too much on my mind? Did I make the right choice leaving the house yesterday? Did I manage to get Emmy to realise how unreasonable she's been? Yeah, she is definitely what you'd call unreasonable, for goodness sakes. Am I ever going to manage to get her to stop being unreasonable? Emmy's mum gave me a new perspective the other day, but I'm still not sure that it's the right perspective. Well, it's always somehow like that. She was hurt when I left yesterday, too. I know that part of any conversation is going to have to include an apology about that. Right thing to do or not, I hurt her. I hurry down to the track, eager to talk to Emmy. I think I know what to say. Apologise for leaving first, and go ahead from there. Unless, of course, Emmy doesn't show up. Which, from the looks of things, seems like it's the case. It's been about 15 minutes since I got here, and there's no sign of her. She's never late. Not unless she's sick, which is unlikely. She probably just doesn't want to see me right now. To take my mind off what that implies, I begin my warm-up routine and take off around the track. It clears my mind wonderfully. For the half hour I'm running, I don't think about anything but the run. However, once I finish and Emmy still hasn't shown up, I get a little worried. With any luck, the nurse will know where she is, if nothing else. I can see what he thinks I should do next. So last night didn't go too well, I take it. Huh? You already know that? I think Emmy's mother contacted the nurse. I have my ways, and it's not as if I'd missed the distant absence of your running partner this morning now, would I? No, I suppose not. So what happened? Don't you know already? Maybe, but I could be bluffing. Perhaps I'd prefer to get your side of the story before I give any advice. Exactly. I quickly fill the nurse in on the events of last night, and he takes it all in without changing expression once. It's expectant. Nothing about the whole event seems to surprise him, although he does seem surprised when I say that I didn't follow Emmy. Chose to talk to her mom instead, huh? Smart move, though I guess it didn't work out too well for you in the end. Well, I'm not sure. Emmy seems apologetic when I left, or at least she seemed that way until she put up her defences again. The nurse sighs and spreads her hands in a conciliatory gesture. Frankly, I'm surprised she let them down at all. Emmy's had a lot of practice on that score. You probably won't get anything else out of her. I don't believe you. Is that so? You think she'll tell you the whole tale? I swear I just saw the nurse's eyes glitter a little. His expression was the same, but he leans forward ever so slightly. I think she'll open up if I ask her without being an idiot about it, yeah. The nurse gives his enigmatic smile in response and shrugs widely. I think he's enjoying his role a little too much. That's the real trick, isn't it? Are you sure you know the right way to approach the subject? I can guarantee that Emmy is going to try her hardest to pretend last night didn't happen. It'll be painfully awkward for the both of you, but it'll also be a lot safer than trying to ask her for the whole story again. It could go worse this time. Are you ready for something like that? It sounds like a challenge, like he doesn't believe for a minute that I'd be so bold that I actually feel a little insulted by his lack of confidence. Of course I'm ready for that. I love her. My outburst gets a raised eyebrow response. Well then, good luck. Let me know how it all turns out. Although he delivers his parting shot with the same smirk as usual, I actually think that the nurse wants me to succeed. Of course he does! Anybody who can break Emmy's hard shell is a start. I resist the urge to charge directly to Emmy's room to prove the nurse wrong. I've gone in half-cocked before, and the results were less than stellar. If I'm going to do this, I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to say, and how I'm going to say it. Something to think about in class. Sure enough, by the time lunch rolls around, I think I have a good enough idea of what to say. I can do this. The bell rings and I grab my lunch and dash up the stairs, eager to be there first. I'll need to ask Rin to leave, and I'll need to... Well, hi, Hisao. Sorry I wasn't able to run with you this morning. I've overslept. That expression doesn't say so otherwise. Somehow, both Emmy and Rin have managed to get to the roof before me. Oh, that's no problem. Last night was kind of draining, I guess. Emmy's expression doesn't alter in the slightest. Yeah, sorry about that, but I've had such a weird morning since then. Really? Emmy proceeds to make small talk for the rest of the time. I can barely get a word in edgewise, and soon find myself interjecting with that sort of back and forth dialogue that seems to have defined our early relationship. I'm not going to get anywhere on this problem during lunch. Obviously, I can respect that. Emmy obviously doesn't want to accidentally pull Rin into things, and that's fine. Not that I think Rin would notice, but I can at least respect that sort of rationale. I try a different tactic. Hey Emmy, what are you up to after class today? I was thinking we'd go somewhere for dinner or something. And Emmy is generally remorseful. Sorry, Hisao, I promised a track captain I'd stick around after practice and help some of the other kids with their form. It'll have to be some other time. Yeah, sure. I'm honestly not sure what to do now. Maybe diving into things the day after would be a bad idea anyway. She might still be angry about it and just not showing it. Besides, she's got track team responsibilities, that's fine, right? I tell myself some variation of this theme the next day. Then the next, I wake up, she ran with Emmy, during which she refused to talk about anything but the run and what she was doing the night before, and then lunch, where we sit and make small talk until the bell rings. Her new responsibilities effectively keep me from seeing her outside the school. Maybe, just maybe, I'm letting it happen because it's safer that way, just like the nurse said. Except while it may be safer, I'm feeling more and more wrenched. Emmy doesn't look good when I see her anymore. Dark circles lurk under her eyes. She seems more and more distracted, and I can't bring myself just to ask what's wrong because the timing never seems right. I'm absolutely miserable. That is troubling. When something this troubling happens, then obviously things are going to go south real fast. Another lunch comes. I trot up the stairs to the rooftop like a condemned man. Rin is up there, but Emmy is not. Immediately I worry that something's happened to her. Maybe lack of sleep finally made her collapse or something worse. She seemed pretty tired after our morning run. Maybe she fell asleep and didn't even make it to class. Hey Rin, where's Emmy? In response, I get a rather penetrating look from Rin, and something approaching a frown appears on her face. Is that information really important? I think so. She's usually here with you, isn't she? I don't know. I have no way of being sure. I can confirm that she is, in fact, usually here with you when I come up. Well, she doesn't know. Does that worry you? Kind of. And with that, this seems to end our conversation. The point becomes moot anyway because Emmy bounced through the door with her usual energy. Hisao's kind of worried about you, Emmy. I don't think he can decide, or maybe I just don't believe him. But I think I'm going to go somewhere less awkward now. Wow. I'm so surprised by Rin's being so suddenly thought about. Well, anything at all, but I merely watch her head through the door. Emmy is similarly surprised, and colours slightly crimson as she stares open-mouthed at me. It occurs to me that I should probably say something, if only to break the awkward silence that has suddenly descended. It's because you weren't here yet. I was, worried about it. Why? You're usually here, so I was worried that something had happened to you. This isn't the first time I've been late, you know. Did you get worried all the other times too? Not really, because back then we were just friends. Emmy seems slightly amused by this. I don't know why, but that kind of pees me off. So why was this time an exception? Maybe it's the light, teasing tone of a question, but something in her response pushes me to be honest, though I can't help snapping at her when I say it. Because you've been worrying me since dinner at your house, that's why. Well, now that it's out in the open, Emmy's eyes are wide, and she looks like she wants to bolt, but she doesn't. Still on that, I say. What, you think I'm supposed to just forget about it? You threw me out of your house. We've been going on for almost a week pretending it never happened. I didn't see you bring it up either, you know. I know, and I'm sorry that was the case. We have to address it or just keep up with whatever it is we've got right now. It's killing me to look at how you look right now. Did you know that? Those circles under your eyes that look and that distracted look in them. And I can't help worrying that I've caused it somehow. You haven't, trust me. Well, I haven't helped either. I keep pushing you to tell me things you aren't ready to tell me. Maybe I was wrong to try get your mother to help me out, but I've been so worried about it that I didn't know what else to do. Well, you don't have to worry about me anymore, okay? I think it's pretty clear we're not right for each other, so maybe we should just stop. Her face is twisted up as she says this, like she doesn't want to say it but forces herself to anyway. You don't actually want that, do you? Heck, you can barely bring yourself to say it. Anyway, it won't keep me from worrying about you. I care too much about you to just stop on command. You don't want to tell me what's wrong. That's fine. But I won't stop trying to help you, even if it was just standing by you. Stop saying that! She's shaking now. And as she looks at me, I can see she's afraid and frustrated and a million different things all at once. I shake my head slowly and take a few steps towards her. You know what your mum told me. She told me that you'd never ask for help, because you know that you're strong enough to get through anything on your own. But that's not the full story, is it? Her eyes go wide, and she takes a step back. I keep going, because I think I've finally figured it out. Something tells me I won't get another shot. I put it off for far too long as it is. There's no harm in having someone help you, unless you're worried about needing help in the first place. You're scared, aren't you? Because of... I trail off because I don't know for certain what happened to Emmy's father, and I don't want to jump to a conclusion. Well, never mind why, but it's okay to be afraid. You've been running from it and from me for so long, even though you know eventually you have to turn around and face your fear, and I'm going to be there to help you when you do. I won't stop you, because I don't think you'd want me to. You can understand that sort of determination, can't you? I can see that I've gotten through to her, but she quickly falls back to anger to try and push me away again. Back in your white charger, Hisao. Gotta help the put... You think 2 months of learning to walk again was fun, but I did it. And after I did what I had to... For a moment she seems as if she was going to say something else, she cuts herself off. And after all that, you don't think you can get past your fear? Emmy, I can't fathom what you've been through, but to come through it and still be the sort of girl that you are, well, it makes me think that you have even more strength than you think. So I'm not going to help you because I don't think you need rescuing. I don't want to be a knight rescuing the Dinsmore in distress, but even knights helped each other out. You know, I want to help, even though I know you can do it on your own. For a moment it looks like Emmy's going to break down completely, but she doesn't. Tears run down her face, but she stares at me steadily. Why are you trying so hard to help me? I'd say that it's because I owe you one for helping me out when we first met, but that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is, I just want you to be happy because I love you. Have I ever said that before? We've been in a relationship and it's been pretty obvious that I love her, but did I ever actually speak those words? What did you say? I say it again, savouring the feeling of being able to say it being able to say it and mean it. Emmy seems stunned. I said I love you, Emmy. I love you. Just you. And that makes me want to stand by you, no matter what you have to face. I'm wrapped in a fierce hug as Emmy begins to sob against my chest. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about everything, but I'm so scared, Hisao. I'm so scared of losing you, and I love you too, but I can't lose you. I'm so sorry. I hold her quietly, slushing her until she settles down. She steps back, a little more composed. Will you come with me tomorrow? Back to my house? There are some things I need to show you, if I'm going to do this. Of course. Maybe this time we can leave together, instead of separately. Emmy grins, a sudden flash of brightness that seems more genuine than anything I've seen in the past week. Yeah, maybe. The lunch bell rings, and I curse the universe's poor sense of timing. Are you free tonight? We could talk more then, right? Emmy shakes her head. Sorry, Hisao, but I'm still helping the track team. Plus, I don't think it would be good if we talked this over tonight. I'm going to be too tired to think properly, and I want to be able to tell you everything without screwing it up. You can wait, right? Even now, there's a bit of fear in her voice. I smile and rest a hand on her shoulder. Okay. I'll be waiting. Emmy gives me a quick kiss before she heads for the stairwell. Thanks, Hisao. See you tomorrow morning. Wouldn't miss it. I head down the stairs with a feel of her lips on mine, suddenly aware of how much I've missed that sensation. I have to remember to thank Rin for getting us to talk to one another. She read ahead of the situation, thinking it should be time for me to separate from these two lovebirds. Although it's possible she won't even realize what she's done. Still, if not for her, I doubt I'd have ever been able to confront Emmy again. I guess I needed more help than I realized. Tomorrow, however, I'll need to stand alone through whatever Emmy's trying to work herself up to doing. I'll be up to the task. I hope. I hope so too, for your sake, and this is probably going to be the evening of tomorrow. Or something along those lines anyways. What have we got here? What are we doing? Oh, no, we're going on the morning run again, I suppose. The morning sun is bright through my open window, and the sound of my alarm quickly has me up and about. I slept surprisingly well last night, securing the knowledge that at least I've got another chance with Emmy. If I can just keep myself from doing anything stupid, maybe I'll find out what's been eating her recently. I have a few educated guesses, but nothing concrete, and certainly nothing that I'm going to say to her. I much prefer to have her tell me herself, indeed. Although I can't help remembering the nurse's warning that I might not like what she has to say. Do I really need to know that badly? What if it's something awful that makes me repulsed by her? Can I really say that I'm prepared to handle whatever she has to say, regardless of what it is or not? Emmy says that she wants to tell me without screwing it up. What the hell does she mean by that? What's there to screw up? I suppose there's not much use worrying about it, though. I'll find out today. It occurs to me that I really need a run this morning to clear my head of nothing else. And Emmy is here, just like she promised. Looking a little haggard, but otherwise bright and cheerful, much more so than any previous day this week. Hi, Sal, you're late. No, you're just early. I wave my hand dismissively. Nonsense, you're just early. Emmy grins back, and it feels like we're finally back where we should be with one another. Except now, Emmy, not just me, wants to take another step forward. Although a part of me worries that she'll back out at the last second. Hurry up and stretch, Hisao. I don't want to miss the bus. The bus? I said I wanted you to come back to my house, remember? And I promised Mum we'd be there in time for lunch, so I wanted to hurry. Early start, huh? It's more for my mum's benefit than anything else. Well, that's okay. I unsuccessfully tried to guess what Emmy has planned, shortly before realizing that it doesn't matter that much to me. And she's got a different expression on her face this time, with a little tongue poking out. I quickly go through my warm-up routine while Emmy bounces impatiently from one foot to the other. She really does seem to want to get moving as soon as possible. And the run is over so quick I can barely believe I haven't fallen over dead afterwards. Emmy set a blistering pace, and I, in my foolishness, kept up with her. Well, until the last few laps, I had to slow down just in case, but I don't mind. And Emmy's waiting patiently for me when I finish. As patient as she can wait anyways. Finished? Good, come on! Okay, grabbing my arm, she practically rushes me down to the nurse's office. You seem to be in a hurry, Emmy. Trying to catch the early bus? Yeah, I told my mom I'd be back for lunch. Well, I'll take care of you first, Ben. But Hisao's gotta come with me, too. The nurse raises a single eyebrow at this statement and peers at the two of us searchingly. Really? Today, huh? Emmy responds as a nod, followed by a surprisingly shy grin. Well then, we'll make this quick. Emmy enters the nurse's office, and I patiently wait outside for her to be finished, wondering just why the nurse seemed to be surprised by Emmy's declaration. A revelation, it will. A break of a cycle. I feel like I'm missing out on some joke or the significance of today, beyond the fact that it is clearly significant in some way, of course. True to his word, the nurse says Emmy out of his office surprisingly quickly, and I take her place after promising to meet up at the front gate. The nurse takes my pulse and listens for a bit. Your heart beats faster than usual. Been pushing yourself again, haven't you? Well, Emmy seemed to be in a rush to get through the run, so I'm not surprised. That is rather important to her, you know. The anniversary. I suspected that could be the case, but I've no idea why that's the case. The anniversary. She hasn't told you? Interesting. So you're not going to tell me either, then? Nope, I'm not. I suspect that Emmy has her own plan for explaining today to you, and I don't want to mess with that. You'll find out soon enough, though. So what's the rush? Now, as for your heart, I would take it easy for the rest of the day. No spontaneous race or anything like that. Got it? Got it. She won't have her running legs on anyways, right? No, but you think something like that is going to stop exactly. Good point. I don't think it'll be much of an issue today of all days, but still. If you're trying to reassure me he's doing a terrible job, I'm quickly becoming more and more worried about what today could be. For, like, suddenly find out Emmy's in a cult or something. The cult of resurrecting of lower legs back to our body. Anyways, that's a bit morbid. At the same time, if today is such a big, and also very specific as well, if today is such a big deal and Emmy wants me to be with her for it, then maybe she really does want to grow close to me. Maybe this will be the answer to all the riddles, to the sleepless nights and the sudden mood swings. Either I better remember to thank the nurse before taking off as quickly as I dared to my room to get a shower and throw on some decent looking clothes. If today is as important as it seems, I should dress appropriately. And Emmy of course proves me wrong as soon as I reach the front gate wearing her usual shirt and shorts, so at least I know it's not a terribly formal affair, which whatever it is. You're early, Hisao. Not as early as you, eager are we? Emmy cheekily pokes out her tongue. The bus stop isn't very crowded this hour, which seems to please Emmy, and we end up relaxing a little as we wait. We sit in silence for a while, but I can tell that Emmy's trying to work herself up to say something. I don't have anything to say myself, so I sit waiting for her to talk. It doesn't take too long. So, I'm sure you're curious as to why the nurse thought it was so weird for me to be bringing you along today. I was a bit yes, but if you're not ready to tell me... Emmy stops my sentence by placing a finger on my lips. Don't tempt me, Hisao. I want to tell you this, but I'm just uncertain as to how to go about it. I don't want to keep delaying or deferring. I just want to be able to say it. So say it. You know that it's not going to be easy for me, Hisao. So treat it like running. Warm up to it with something small and easy and go from there. But don't do it too fast, okay? I'm a patient man. I can wait for you to get to it. Emmy seems to consider my words weighing them against what is probably a desire to get it over with. I will admit, as much as I keep telling Emmy to take her time, I wouldn't mind her getting it over with either. But somehow I know that Emmy probably needs more time than the bus ride will provide to get it all out, whatever it is. Yeah, maybe you're right. The bus stop probably isn't the best place for this anyway. But just to make sure that I don't go back on my word, I'll at least say this. She takes a deep breath, lets it out, and after a moment she says in a low voice, We're going to see my dad today. It's the anniversary. The words hang in the air, and I can see that Emmy's afraid that I'll panic and disappear in response, which a part of me almost wants to do. But it would be stupid of me to back out, or to suddenly abandon the promise I made to be there for Emmy when she needs me. But Nurse thought it was so weird of her to bring me along. Indeed, she doesn't bring anyone along, or at least I'm willing to bet that she hasn't before today. The day seems to take on even greater significance. What has it taken Emmy to get even this far? And why is that the best I can manage as a response? Yeah? I don't know what I should say. Nothing, I think. Just promise that you're going to come with me. Of course. You know I will. I will be there for you. I will be there with you. I will be with you for the rest of time. And beyond that. Emmy smiles wanly, looking a little relieved. Good. In that case, we better get going. The bus pulls out just a little after she finishes the sentence. Convenient timing. Vague memories of my first trip out here come to mind as I step off the bus. But unfortunately, they're too vague to be of any use. I will be the first to admit that I don't quite recall how to get to Emmy's house, so I let her lead the way. She seems content to walk in silence, and I myself have no idea what I could possibly say, so the two of us arrive at her house, having said nothing since getting off the bus. Emmy's mother Bugger off, Thunder! Emmy's mother opens the door and doesn't seem surprised to see me standing next to her daughter. I expect that Emmy would have proned ahead to let her mother know of the change in plans. Emmy, hi Sally, just in time. Lunch is just about ready. Great, I was afraid we might be running late. As fast as you were going this morning, I doubt there was much of a chance for that. I certainly hope she wasn't too much of a bother, Hisao. She tends to get a little paranoid about being on time when food's involved. Yeah, she's very excited about food, I'm not going to lie. Like the opposite of Rin, who's like, no, I don't really want food. I hadn't noticed. There's me a swatting yarn from Emmy, who, despite the serious nature of our conversation on the bus and the almost brooding quiet walk, has quickly become cheerful again. Probably to keep her mother from worrying about whatever it is Emmy plans to tell me later on. Mrs. Aparasaki ushers us in, and in short order we are around the table devouring lunch. I haven't realised how hungry I was until I got there, but for once I seem to be eating almost as much as Emmy, which is a surprise because Emmy eats like a machine. I don't know how I said all of that without mucking up a single word. Goodness, it's a good thing I made so much. The two of you are acting like you haven't eaten in days. I just don't really like the cafeteria food, that's all, and I forgot to take the leftovers from the previous time we was around here. I skipped breakfast this morning. Me too. Had to catch the bus, I assume. That, and I figured you'd make too much food so it wouldn't matter if I skipped breakfast. No, you should not skip breakfast at the beginning of the day. You should know that, Emmy, as a balanced diet, balanced lifestyle. Well, it's good to know that I'm predictable. Emmy nods enthusiastically, and conversation falls off again as we very nearly clear the table of anything edible. It is a testament to the sheer amount of food on offer that we don't finish everything. I lean back in my chair with a sigh and thank Mrs. Aparasaki for the food. I'm glad you liked it, Hisao. Now, has Emmy told you where we're going? Yes, sort of. Is it far from here? Not really, but we'll drive there to save time. It closes kind of early. The graveyard. I nod in assent and stand up, ready to go. Well then, shall we? Mrs. Aparasaki nods and leaves the room to grab her keys. Emmy, I notice, has started to fidget nervously. Second thoughts? Emmy smiles tightly at me and shrugs. She's fallen silent again, which probably means that I'm right, and she has started to regret bringing me along. Not that I blame her. She's done such a good job of shutting me out, but I doubt it's easy to suddenly open up. Honestly, I'm worried that she's forcing it. But she said while waiting for the bus that I'm not supposed to give her a chance to back out. And since I promised to go with her anyway, I suppose it's not much of a choice. I can't go back on my promise, and she can't go back on hers. I just hope that both of us are up to it. We're off! Emmy's mother blows through the dining room, collects the two of us, and heads out the door at a brisk pace. Now I know where her daughter gets it from. The car pulls up at the cemetery gates, and I feel Emmy tense up beside me. I reach over and give her hand a comforting squeeze, which causes her to relax a little. Emmy's mother doesn't follow us, explaining that she prefers to visit the grave alone. Emmy steps through the gates and looks back, as if to make sure I'm still there. We step into the cemetery. I don't feel comfortable in cemeteries. Gravestones litter the ground, each one serving as a reminder that someone used to be alive and is no longer. That, one day, unfortunately, is going to be for all of us. But it's not that time yet. And this video, at this time, is proof of that. How many died young? How many were as old as I am? When did I wind up with a marker of my own? So when do I wind up with a marker of my own? How much longer do I have left? The concept of not waking up, not seeing Emmy anymore, is not a happy one. It frightens me, and I very nearly turn around and exit right then and there. I don't want to go among the dead people. I don't want to see their stones and think about who they were or what they could have been if they'd only had more time. Age is something which is more crippling than you think. Then I look at the girl next to me, and my resolve returns. Emmy striding purposefully down the path, eyes clear, setting a pace that's very nearly a jog. The sooner we get there, I expect she thinks the better. We're here. I know it. It was, in fact, the father is no longer with them. A gravestone, wholly unremarkable in everything except for the name etched upon it. The grass has grown around the base. Emmy's eyes are riveted to the stone. After a few moments she turns around, looking surprisingly calm, yet solemn. Pink's not actually my favourite colour, you know. What? I'm warming up to it. People tend to think that pink's my favourite colour. I think it's because I like strawberries. But strawberries are red. And even though those are red, they just assume that pink's the right colour for strawberries. They go from green to yellow to red. There's no pink in the process. Like green, yellow, orange, red. That's their growth transformation. And that's my favourite colour, but it's not. I'm too polite to tell anyone otherwise, of course. And it's not the kind of thing worth getting worried about. But I'll bet even you thought pink was my favourite colour. Nah, I think green is probably. Okay, blue. Well, it's not too far off. We go from green to teal to blue. Blue, that's my favourite colour. My mum and dad are the only two who know that. And now you do too, so that makes it 3. Thanks for telling me, I think. You're welcome. There's a pause. She considers what to say next, drawing a quick breath. I can't carry a tune to save my life. I can hum, but actually singing a song is something I've never been able to do. I don't mind, because I'm not a fan of karaoke anyway. Well, that's one potential date idea out the window. People all think that I'm a really popular and friendly person, but I only have a few close friends, probably because I keep everyone in the dark. But I think it's also because I hate the idea of losing a close friend. It is better to love and lost than never have loved at all. So it's better to love and to have lost than to have never loved at all. There aren't many people worth the risk. I'm terrible at saying goodbye. I sometimes think I only run because it's what I used to do with my father. You're not my first boyfriend. I dated a guy for a long time during my second year at Yamako, but in the end we broke up because I didn't want to get close to him. He couldn't live with the distance between us. Her rate of speaking increases slightly, as if she's rushing towards a finish line. I'm actually 1 year older than you. Everybody thinks I'm younger because I'm short, but I had to skip 1 school year because of my accent. I thought that might have been the case. They initially thought I was paralysed when they pulled me out of the wreckage. I lost my legs already, but they were afraid I wouldn't be able to use what was left of them. After surgery, it was clear that their initial assessment was mistaken. I couldn't feel my legs because of the shock, short-term paralysis due to the other trauma I'd experienced. My recovery was one of the fastest they'd ever seen. or so they told me. I never found out if they were serious about that, or whether they told to all patients learning to walk again. She pauses, gathering herself for a last effort. Something told me that they both happened simultaneously. 8 years ago today, I lost my legs, and I lost my father as well. He died on the way to the hospital. I didn't even get to go to the grave. Wait, he died on the way to the hospital? I didn't even get to go to the gravesite until 2 months later and couldn't afford his funeral. I'm so sorry. Don't be. That's what everyone always says. But they're sorry. I hate hearing that. Like anyone could have done anything to change what happened. You know the best piece of advice I got? You know the best piece of advice I got? These things happen. I don't even remember who said it, but I guess I didn't have anything better to say. But it's true, you know. These things happen. And there's nothing you can do about it. They aren't necessarily planned, but they aren't always bad, and they aren't always good, but they are. So I made the decision that I would live without worrying about the future, and to be sure that I never had to say goodbye again, I decided I wouldn't let people get close to me anymore. After all, they could be taken away at any time. And you know what? She laughs a little bitterly. Her eyes start to well up with tears, and I step forward to embrace her, but she holds up her hand to stop me. Not finished. A deep breath as she continues. It worked pretty well, until I met you and saw that you were trying to adjust to stuff here. So I thought I'd help you, and then you were so nice and I couldn't help it. I just... The tears are flowing now, and she accepts to be embraced this time. The rest of her sentence is mumbled into my chest. Wow. What is exactly that sentence? I try not to fall for you, but I did. And then I tried to keep you at a distance, like with my first boyfriend, but I couldn't. But I've been so scared because I don't want to lose you, and I might anyway. Hey, I'm still around, right? And maybe I won't be forever. But don't you think it'll be fun while it lasts? Neither of us could survive a day. There could be a bus crash or something. But so long as I know that I've been with you, I don't think it matters. A sudden thought strikes me and I can't help laughing. My condition had me scared of dying so badly, but I immediately seized the opportunity Emmy presented to improve my odds of living longer. But without Emmy, would there have been any motivation to keep up with my running? It hits me that Emmy is the reason I want to go running every day, so I can spend as much time with her as possible. Emmy looks up at me confused. We'll go on living until we stop, and when we stop living we'll be able to know that at least we've had time together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Because I love you, Emmy, and right now that's enough for me. Emmy smiles through her tears and steps back from me. You know, it's funny. What is? I thought that the best way to live in the moment was to do it alone, but now, I don't think I'd like to have it any other way. I'm glad I met you, Hisao. Well, these things happen. Yeah, piece of advice, Emmy and I stay by the grave for a while, as Emmy pays her respects to her father. When she's ready to go, we exit the graveside side by side. Just like that. Emmy's mother drives us back to Yumako. The trip back is very quiet. We wave goodbye as the car drives off, and I glance down at the girl leaning on my arm. How are you feeling? Emmy shrugs non-committedly. I'll be fine. Come on, let's go. We pause outside the girls' dorm as I turn to face Emmy ready to say goodbye. Why do you come up for a while? Okay. The walk up to her room is in silence. I'm not sure why I'm supposed I'd be turned away at the door. I guess I just assumed she wanted to be alone. Her mum, the nurse, hell, everyone who knew the significance of days seemed to think it's best to leave Emmy alone. But she took me into the graveyard with her. She told me the whole story of what happened on the day she lost her legs. She wanted me around. The significance of this does not escape me. But how did Emmy lose her father, though? Like, they both happened on the same day. What caused Emmy's father to not be there anymore? What was the cause of it? I thought that it was a car accident, and that somehow Emmy didn't notice that the car was there, but I thought her father then partially saved her. Like, her legs were gone, but the rest of her wasn't. But, like, what was the cause of her father's death? Like, it's really morbid to talk about, I know, but it's just something that's hanging in the air still. What was the cause of it? And what it sounded like from Emmy's words is that her father died while on the way to the hospital. Like, I think from those words, it was like Emmy's father took her to the hospital. Or, hypothetically, it could be that both of them were taken to the hospital. But Emmy's father was in a much more severe condition, and by the time they got to the hospital, he was no longer with us. Like, that could be a thing. Emmy opens the door and steps into her room, not even bothering to invite me in, holding the door for me expectantly. I step in and the door swings shut behind me. Hey, can I ask you a favour? Sure, can't guarantee I'll do it, but... Emmy giggles and pulls me into a kiss that starts out soft but deepens into something almost desperate. Stay with me, please? Her voice has dropped to a whisper. The question is barely audible over the sound of my own breathing. There's something about the way she asks that question, the hesitancy in it, the quiet voice, that makes me think she doesn't mean tonight. No, she means exactly what she said. Stay with me. Not tonight or forever, but because both of us know there's no such thing as forever. There's no time limit to her request. There's just the request. The favour. Can I do that? Can I stay with her? Of course. We embrace again. Emmy guiding me towards a bed, stepping backwards with care until she sits down on the edge. Okay, we reach a conclusion. I couldn't show any of it because bloody Emmy was naked throughout the entire goddamn scenario. But basically there was a conclusion there, and that is definitely, yeah, that confirms that that's a good ending, because this little animation would not show otherwise. So we definitely seeked out the good end route rather than, let's say, a bad end route initially when we did with Rin's route within the game. Like, I'm not sure when it actually starts, like the diversion of going from the good end to the bad end, let's just say like that, but are there 3 endings in this route? Or possibly 2? Or 4, probably, I don't know. Like there's probably a few different things here and there. I'm not too sure really, but that is what you call a very sweet and wholesome route, if you were to call it that. Like, the relationship when it first became wild was really wild, like twice in a space of a day that they've made out. Then this time around. But then again, if a protagonist knew that he was going to stay behind, then surely he would have taken up his, or picked up his medication before coming back to the dorms. Like, that in a way is a little bit selfish of Emmy. Have other things to worry about? Actually, I've got something I need to do. Yeah? Oh well. I want to get some feedback on the Science Club review, but we can do that later, I guess. Enjoy your break, you hear? Thanks. I will. I really love to chat with Muto, but I've got other things on my mind. Specifically, what to do about Emmy. Can I really just confront her? That's a bad idea. Hold on a minute. We didn't get the choice this time around. And we didn't get the choice with the doctors last time around to be able to get his advice or not. So it's currently pretending that she has to use a toilet. I excuse myself politely from the table and head that way. I need to catch sight of Emmy not in the bathroom, medication just next to the living room. Emmy's left the door open. As I approach, I can see that she's holding on to the table in an attempt to compose herself in an effort that fails as soon as I open my mouth. Does it look like nature's call was that urgent? Emmy jumps and glares at me. What are you doing here? I didn't come here to be with other people. I just want to help you. You look pretty rattled. I said it was nothing, didn't I? Besides, I thought we established that you can't help me. No, we established that you're stubborn. Look who's talking, the guy who followed me. This is different. I want to help you with whatever this is. Funny, because I just want you to leave me alone. But why? Why can't you just trust me? We've been over this already, Hisao. I've got to deal with this stuff on my own. I won't accept that. You need my help and you just won't take it. Yeah, that was a little bit far off. Need? I need your help? Well, it's a good thing we met, isn't it? Because otherwise I guess I'd just be a broken human being, wouldn't I? Nah, it's a damn good thing that Hisao came along to save the day, isn't it? Because God knows I can't save myself, can I? I'm just a poor, emotionally damaged girl with no legs, right? Hisao, you know I don't think that. Really? But if you thought differently, I don't think you'd be here, saying that I need your help. I've got pretty far in life as a normal human being without you. So what? Nothing we shared was important? I'm just the guy who hangs out with you? You're my boyfriend, Hisao, not my saviour. Well, no, that much is obvious. You won't even consider that I could be a help to you, will you? You'll just bottle it all up and hope that a run will solve your problems, or you'll come visit me and we'll fool around until you feel better. That's not being a healthy human being, Emmy. That's not what a relationship means. Well, it's what it means to me right now. Hisao. I wish... She seems to reconsider her words just then. A flicker of pain, of doubt in her face. For a moment I think she was about to cry. But a moment passed and now she composed herself again. Whatever her wish was will have to go unspoken. Look, I can't do this right now. What, have a serious conversation? Be open? Be honest? Give a damn about anyone besides yourself and your problems? What do you know about my problems? Nothing. You don't know what I've been through, so don't pretend that you do. I know you have nightmares, and I know your father's gone. What happened to him? Emmy's head jerks backwards as I've just slapped her. That brittle quality has gotten back into her voice. That's enough. This is stupid. This whole conversation has been variations of Emma stonewalling me. What, you won't even answer that question? Fine, keep your secrets. They can lie in the grave as far as I'm concerned. Wrong word to use here, my man. Get out of my house, Hisao. The sudden change in her tone snaps me out of my self-righteous anger and makes me realise with a dawning horror what I've just said. I said go, Hisao. Tell my mother that she cooked a wonderful meal but you've forgotten a prior engagement and get out of my house. She's trembling now, shaken with anger or sadness or determination. Her voice is still low, controlled, almost a growl. I reach out, put her arm on her shoulder, apology for going too far, but she jerks away from my... Yeah, of course. Get out. What can I do? I walk out of the kitchen, go to the living room, make my apology to Mr. Zaparaski and let myself out. Yep, things are going south here, unfortunately. Oh dear, what's she going to do now? Become yandere on us? I think that's what's going to be the case. She's just literally going to be yandere on us. And the morning alarm sounds and I roll over, switching off, my eyes open barely to stare at the ceiling. What am I going to do? Do I get out of bed, go down to try and pretend that nothing happened? Will Emmy even show up after last night's events? I doubt it. Even suppose that she did, what would I do then? Go with this fight just to dance the same routine the next time something's bothering her? I know that I spoke hastily last evening, especially trying to use her father as leverage. But was everything I said really off the mark? Yeah, I think mentioning the word grave is something very bad. She won't let me in ever, and she'll be forced to suffer alone. Nothing I do, nothing I say is going to change that. She won't change, and she's already decided to keep me at arm's length. Can I really bring myself to go down there and see her, knowing that I'm never going to get past where I am now? I wouldn't go. No, I decide I really can't. Not today. I'll roll over and go back to sleep. She probably won't be there anyway. A similar mental conversation repeats itself when it comes to time to go to lunch, and I eat this in the cafeteria alone. I don't want to see her. The very thought makes me feel ill. That night I go for a run. I'm solo for the first time since Amy got sick after the track meet. Skipped seeing the nurse just in case he asked about Emmy. I don't want to talk about her either. The next day I do the same thing. Alarm, off, stay in bed, eat alone, run alone. To fill the time that I would usually be spending with Emmy, I start reading more. It works surprisingly well, until I find myself ducking into a restroom because I see her walking down all in between classes. She noticed me, she didn't show it, even though I don't suppose she ever shows anything. Certainly not to the girls from her class I see talking cheerfully to her, or to her fellow track members, especially not to me. Alarm off, stay in bed. Muta and I have a lengthy talk about the possibility that string theory is plausible. I don't buy it myself. More than 4 dimensions I can buy, but a bunch of vibrating strings at the subatomical level? That's asking a bit much. It looks like I'm not the only one to think this way too. Apparently it's not really as strong as a theory as it once was. Muta says that just because nobody has found the right way of looking at the data yet. Oh, I didn't mean to click off the screen there. I eat alone. The rooftop is deserted today. I briefly wonder where Emmy and Rin are, but shrug off the question. The important thing is that they aren't here, so I won't have to talk to them. Since I've nobody to talk to, I'll bring a book with me to read. The weather's nicer, if it gets a little hot. Hopefully it will be cool in the evening. A cool breeze seems to back up my theory. Run alone. It is, in fact, cooler at the track. No sign of Emmy, which is exactly the sort of thing I'm going for. I stretch out and start on my usual run, trying hard to ignore the lack of a running partner in front of me, finding my thoughts drifting damnably to that girlish laugh, incredible grin, those wide friendly eyes, so incredibly toned, but I increase the pace to clear my mind, chew up the distance between me and the turns, find the speed that makes me think only of my legs and how much they burn. I glance at my watch as I round before I turn, noting that my time's gotten faster. My heart seems a little squirrely tonight, so I give myself a few extra cooldown laps just to be safe. No reason to bring this to the nurse's attention. I'll be fine. A rather Emmy-ish thought to have, I admit. I have to hope that eventually I'll stop thinking about her so much. It will take time. I finish another book before going to bed that night. I'll have to stop by the library tomorrow. And what happens now? I don't know why I keep the alarm early alarm on anymore, but it wakes me up the next morning just the same. I still turn it off and go back to sleep. And that afternoon, as I get ready to head to the cafeteria for another solo lunch, I've got a new book and a couple of con men in ancient Persia, but I'm pretty excited about reading. I'm suddenly cornered by Misha and... I guess it's just Misha. Off to eat alone again, Hai-chan. We've noticed, you know. We? Shizune. Shai-chan and I noticed that you've been spending more time alone. She wanted me to find out why, so I told her I'd ask you. I'm surprised she didn't ask me herself. She would have, but she wanted to get a head start on some paperwork. There's a lot of it since we're coming up on the end of term, you know. Why does that interest my well-being anyway? Friends? Sai-chan said it's the duty of a student council to keep track of the emotional health of its students, so allow constitute to spiral into depression unchecked would be an unforgivable failure in this council's duties. Well, that's easy then. I'm not depressed. That's what a person who is depressed would say. But you're eating alone, and nobody's seen you and Emmy together at all. Something happened, didn't it, Hai-chan? Misha's voice takes on a slightly sterner tone, though somehow she keeps the familiar lit at the end of her sentences. Give in and let Misha know. I think that's probably for the best anyways. It's best to be open up and honest about this kind of stuff, you know. Give in and let Misha know. Well, I suppose someone else knowing about my problem can't hurt. Heck, even Misha can even offer some advice. We had a fight at her house. I keep trying to get close to her and she won't let me get close, and I said something stupid and she threw me out. Have we talked to her since then? Misha looks generally concerned. I'm surprised. And I almost expect her to drop the subject after finding out what the trouble was. Even more surprising is how quickly I find myself spilling my guts to her. No, I haven't. I just can't bring myself to face her after that. I made a complete fool of myself and she probably hates me now anyway, especially since I haven't seen her since then. You're pretty slow, Hai-chan. This doesn't sound like advice. Huh? Misha placed her hands on her hips and launched into a speech that would sound more plausible coming from Shizune. There's a solution to your problem is simple. You have to go and apologize to her. Leaving things like this will just make things worse. You can't know that she hates you now unless she tells you. Otherwise, there's no evidence that what you fear is true. And if you really care about her, shouldn't you be worried about how she's taking all this? With a sudden start, I realised that she's right. I've kept waking up to an early alarm because part of me wants to meet Emmy at the tracks for our runs. I kept running because I know that Emmy would worry about me if I didn't stay healthy. When I went on the roof yesterday, I was half hoping that she would be up there, and felt disappointed when she wasn't. I'm an idiot. Kinda hi, Chan. So, go and apologise to her as soon as you can, okay? I open my mouth to say that I'll do it right away, but the lunch bell rings and I realise I still have the afternoon class to attend. First thing after class is over, I'll go to see her. I promise. And, thanks for your advice, I guess. Misha beams at me as if I were a child. I had just learned the ABCs. Good! I'll let Sai-chan know that you're okay then. Yeah, you do that. With a wave and complete disregarding the fact that people are starting to trickle back into the classroom and as opposed to out of it, Misha departs to the classroom. I suppose she and Shizune have student council business again. While the afternoon wears on, I find myself impatient for lessons to end. I need to see Emmy now. I have to try and settle things right. Even if Emmy hates me now, I have to at least apologise. I owe her that much. Should I meet her in her room? No, I decided it would delay things too much. If I know Emmy, then I can find her at the track. Still have no idea what I'm going to say when I get there, but I take comfort in knowing that Emmy probably wouldn't have a plan for something like this either. Play it by the ear. Stop being nervous. And just get to the track, figure the rest out when I get there. The track looms ahead, and another jolt of nerves hit me in the gut. I resist the urge to turn and walk away, and instead note with satisfaction I was right and Emmy is still running. I don't mind myself immediately known. I find a seat in the bleachers and watch her run instead, thinking back to earlier meetings. After a few trips around the track, Emmy notes me and skids to a halt, an expression of surprise that slides easily into one of anger. What are you doing here? Not quite the response I hoped for, but at this point I don't think I have much of a choice. I want to apologise for what I said the other day. The other day? She laughs, a curt explanation of disbelief. It's been almost a week, Hisao. Yeah, well, better late than never, right? Emmy crosses her arms and stares at me coolly as if sizing me up. Finally she nods. I suppose you're right. Water under the bridge then. I forgive you. Is that all? Her almost impatient question catches me so off guard that she's already halfway down the track before I think to shout after her. This is going to get nowhere. She doesn't seem to have heard me, or she doesn't want to hear me, and so I give chase, disregarding completely the fact that I'm not dressed for it. My feet hurt and my shirt collar feels like a noose around my neck, but I still chase after her because if I don't lose my chance, Emmy hasn't started to really accelerate yet, which is probably the only reason why I'm able to catch up to her, to reach out and tap on my shoulders before my legs give up running in dress shoes and stumble to a stop. Surprisingly, fortunately, all that running seems to have paid off. I'm short of breath, yes, but at least my heart isn't actively trying to force its way out of my ribcage. My touch on her shoulder stopped Emmy, and while there is a flash of concern when she sees me catching my breath, it seems that she has a good idea of what I'm capable of too. But concern is short-lived. What? She seems so irritated by my being still there as I almost lose my nerve, but I've lost my nerve enough. I need to explain myself why I can't just let the matter rest. Emmy folds her arms and bounces one blade on the ground in an approximation of tapping her feet impatiently. Angry as she is, as nervous as I am, she still looks beautiful. Okay, Hisao, explain. The thing is, I know that you're really sensitive about the accident about your dad. I can see Emmy's face twitch at the motion of those two things that have been steadily driving us apart, or at least made me feel like we're being driven apart. But that's why I wanted to know about them, I think. Because I see how much they hurt you, and I want to be there to comfort you. It makes me miserable, seeing you sleepless and depressed, And don't pretend you aren't okay, because I know, okay? I just remember that night when you fell asleep with me and had that nightmare, and that you were happy to have me there when you woke up. I want to be able to be there for you, like that, whenever you need me to be. The stern face cracks. Slightly, Emmy interrupts before I can continue further. Just stop right there. We can't see each other anymore, okay? She's rushing now, looking everywhere but at me. I'm surprised she doesn't bolt. She knows I can't catch her. We're not right for one another. That's not true and you know it. No, it's true. You're too... I know, I've been pushy about knowing your past. If you can't tell me yet, then at least let me know, even if I don't know the reason. It's okay, I promise. I won't ask why you need comfort. I'll just give it freely. Emmy's shaking head and tears seem to be threatening the corner of her eyes. Stop saying that! Why, because you're afraid you'll take me up on it? I'm not afraid. I can't keep the shining tone of my voice. I respond. Yes, you are. You told me so yourself, remember? That's okay. Really, it is. However, it seems to me that someone who managed to come out of that wreck and still be as energetic and cheerful as you are would be determined enough to face that fear. Determination? What do you know about determination? I know that there's a girl so determined to take care of a total stranger that she'd steal his food at a festival. I know that there's a girl so determined to help me with my problems that she'd draw up a complete dietary and exercise plan, and that she'd not draw up the plans, but she followed them with me, even when she couldn't run. Determined enough to keep me at arm's length that she put herself through emotional pain that she thought it was the right thing to do. Although, there's one thing that this determined girl didn't quite plan for, which was that I might feel the same kind of determination to keep her from being hurt. I fell in love with you, and I refuse to let that be thrown away because you're afraid of losing me. Damn. What little control Emmy still has at this point cracks, and I find myself suddenly enveloped in her embrace. She cries, "Why are you doing this? Why can't you just leave me alone?" Damn. I hold her close and plant a kiss on the top of her head. I'm sorry, Emmy. You helped me when I first arrived, so now I have to help you. It's only fair. You're utterly hopeless, did you know that? She hiccups and trembles a little. Funny, I could say the same about you. Can you do something for me, Hisao? Anything. Can you go now? It feels like she just shoved a knife through my chest. Go? I need to think, okay? I can't just tell you everything yet. I'm still scared, and when you're around I can't think clearly. But do me another favour. What's that? Show up for a morning run tomorrow? I smile. Feeling better than I have all week. Of course, I wouldn't miss it for a world. Emmy steps back slowly, almost reluctantly. She sniffles a little and then grins at me. A real smile that lights up the track, overpowering the fading evening's light. See you tomorrow, Hisao. Okay. I feel like this is just another variation of the good end. So maybe not telling Misha about it could be the factor that we need? Yeah, it's just another variation of a good ending, but it's a darker approach to it, because the approach to approaching her mother was more or less painful one, because they still saw each other after that day on the rooftop, because it was Hisao going away from Emmy rather than Emmy telling Hisao to get out of her house. Downplay the issue. I'm not sure I like the idea of airing private matters to the student council. Nothing major. Hi Chan, lying is a terrible thing to do. She's not buying it. Okay, give her something, but not too much. We had a disagreement and haven't resolved it yet. Oh, why not? Because, look, I don't need to talk about this, okay? It's not a big deal, okay? I'm fine. And Emmy, is she fine too, Hi-chan? Misha's voice has taken on a decidedly serious edge. This is ridiculous. I don't know, okay? I haven't asked. Things are complicated right now. What kind of man are you? Things get a little rough and you're going to hide from them? Misha's sudden retort catches me completely off guard. Sai-chan would call that a cowardly act and should be right too. You two were close, happy together, and you're just going to roll over and die without a fight? You should be willing to fight for your girlfriend, Hisao. It seems that Misha is channeling Shiznit at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me to find out that Shisha gave her a script to follow based on my answer. Misha points an impervious arm at the classroom door. Now you get out of the classroom and patch things up. We still got afternoon classes. That doesn't seem to dissuade Misha. Then after class, you better do it, Hai-chan. It's important that you don't leave things like this. Why? Misha regards me as one who regards an animal's droppings. Don't you care about her, Hai-chan? That's important, isn't it? She's right. I do care about her. You said you did, which means past tense. Okay, I'll see you after class. Great! I'll let Sai-chan know you're okay then. Really now. The steps out of the main building down the path to the track made me feel like a doomed man. I have a twisting horrible feeling in my gut that this is all going to go horribly wrong, but I'm not going to accomplish anything. Except for maybe driving the file now in the coffin of whatever it was Emmy and I had. There she is, just expected, running laps around the track after everyone else has gone to shower and dinner. I don't wave or even make my personage just sit down the bachelors and watch her run laps. And it takes a few trips around the track before she notices me, after which she just skids to a stop, eyes wide in surprise. And which in turn faces behind a mask I already know is impenetrable. What are you doing here? Not quite the response I'd hoped for, but at this point I don't have much of a choice. I want to apologise for what I said the other day. And she, yep, being a week, better late than never. Cross her arms. Yeah, really. Not a huge amount to it. What? No. I think we're okay talking here. Fine, sure. Look, about us. I pause trying to think of a good way to phrase what I'm about to say before I can launch into an impassioned plea of getting another chance. Emmy's already spoken. There's no more us, Hisao. Why not? We're just not right for each other. She delivers this outrageous statement without even looking in my eyes. I don't believe you. We're great with one another. Says the guy apologised for getting thrown out of my house last week. It was a fight. I said something really incredibly stupid and apologised for it. And how many times have we all discussed the problem that we started the fight? How many times have I told you that there was a set boundary that I wouldn't cross? And how many times do you keep trying to cross it? Because your boundary was stupid. Emmy rolls her eyes, folds her arms across her chest, and cocks her head to the side. Do you see this, Hisao? This is why we're not right for one another. Her voice softens a little, and she reaches out to stroke my cheek. You're a good guy, but we're not going to work. With a horrible lurching thing, I realise she's been practicing this, maybe every day since I left the house. Even the cheek stroke she rehearsed, like something out of a movie. She never intended to give me another chance. Hell, she probably wouldn't have been fine without never seen me again. So that's it then. Nothing to say but, gee, it was fun while it lasted, but so long. But actually seems to amuse Emmy far more than I wanted to. She gives a rather morbid sounding chuckle. That's how I've lived my life, Hisao. You should know that by now. And it was fun. A sad smile, she shivers slightly and then the smile vanishes. But it's over now. It's for the best. I want to yell, to scream at her, make her see reason, that this is stupid, the whole act, that she's just afraid of me, afraid of what being close to someone means. I want to tell her that I love her and that I can't just give up on her at the drop of a hat. Except there's no point. She's made up her mind. We're done. Fine. Emmy nods satisfied. I want to hit something. Good. She brightens with a false cheeriness. See you around, Hisao. No, you won't. You won't even try. She shrugs as if to say, have it your way, and turns back on me once more, quickly accelerating around the curve of the track. I feel numb. This is it. The end of the road for us. Whatever that was. Closure, at least. Emmy rounds the track again without sparing me a second glance. She's running much faster now, and I can't help but think of that first run together. I ran to catch you, to try to prove that I wasn't as weak as I knew I was. But it ended badly for me, didn't it? And now you're running off too fast for me again, and I have the choice to run after you again. But I won't. Not this time. You never let me catch you. I don't even notice walking away from the track or walking into my room, or pulling a book out of my bag to read. Just before bed I reset my alarm. Emmy and I have had our final encounter. And some things are just the best. We don't speak again after that. Yep. End. So yeah, that's what you would call a bad ending, folks. And yeah, in some cases it's just for the best for a relationship to end that way, even though Emmy has a strangely dark sense of humor when going through all this kind of charade and stuff, thinking like, yeah, that's fine. It's fine if you hate me or something like that. I don't care. But what Emmy and Rin have in common is that they are both astronomically stubborn about their desires and ambitions in life. Like, once they're tracked onto something, they absolutely don't want anybody to be on their track. Like, they're both incredibly stubborn in their own ways, and that's kind of why I think they're both kind of partnered together when it comes to roots. Like, the conditions to enter their roots are very, very similar. But for goodness sakes, that last bit with Emmy there is just such a sour turn of events. I thought it was going to end more badly with that, like Emmy being kind of yandere, because I thought in a way that while at the house, Hisao would have rejected her in some kind of ways, even though Emmy was still in love with him. But that, for goodness sakes, is what we call the endings of Emmy's roots. I don't think there would be any other endings considering the different possibilities that went on throughout that roots. Like, the choices don't seem that significant enough to be able to concede a third ending of sorts. Like with Rin's outcome, there was, with the final choice, a kind of divergence with like, well, you should really go back inside and greet with these people, or if you found a person that told you that you don't have to do it, then you don't have to do it. And it was like a revelation for Rin in that way, because nobody has kind of been on that side with her before. And then again, the art teacher being angry at us just because it's like, you don't understand ambition, you don't have any. But anyways, folks, that is Emmy's route. On the next time we're going to go for, and it's going to be kind of controversial, but I'm going to go for Misha / Shizune's route next. And then after that we'll be trundling down Hanako's and Lily's kind of pairing. Because I think in this game there are pairings. Emmy and Rin is one pairing. Misha and Shizune is another pairing. And then we have Lily and Hanako as a third pairing. So I think that's how the routes really go down and the requirements early on in the game go down. But that means betraying Lily. I don't want to do that. I don't want to betray Lily. She's like my favourite girl out of all of them, actually. I'm not going to lie. Like, I've grown rather attached to Lily's sense of humour and her cheeriness and her outlook in life and stuff like that in the game, despite being blind, because that's a very unique challenge in itself. Anyways, folks, enough about me doubting and dreading. Thank you so much for watching. See you all the next time. But Katawa Shoujo will be pursuing the deaf blue-haired girl next, or the pink-haired outlandishly loud girl next. Thank you so much for watching and take care of yourselves.